Hey traders, this is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Wednesday, January 26th, and this is your end of day market recap. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through here is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. You can read the whole risk disclaimer here. Well, I'll get through the themes of the day. This is what I wrote earlier, just to show you how this kind of turned around on the day. But first few hours of the day, market was up, right? And what I was seeing was just and it's always a little bit difficult to know 100%, but it looked to me that there was a lot of short covering on the tape. There was a lot of the underperformers that were catching a really big move. And and I think that is related to that. People just, when I say people, funds, didn't want to have big short positions in names that have really been beaten up. So those were the big flyers in the beginning of the day, and a lot of call activity in some of those names. But my message to members at 12:30, when I opened up the room for our video that we do every day, was that I'm not really looking to chase any of that activity. I would rather wait and see how this develops after. I said, and there's no way to kind of know 100%, but I said, I don't think that all this call flow that we're seeing, I don't think they know anything. I think it's just a lot of short covering and playing momentum. And I said, you could take these moves and take the money if you made some money on playing some of the moves that we saw in the first part of the day, and just put the money in your pocket and then see what happens with the Fed. But here's what I said. I don't think anybody wants to get caught and beaten up names if Powell ends up being really bullish. So that's, now that we kind of, I think that you can confirm that was the case, that we just saw the, short covering, and that leads to kind of some really stretched moves that we saw. And when we were seeing calls and just about everything, but you really have to kind of understand over time that if you've been following option activity for a while, the majority of it, they don't know anything, right? And I think that gets lost sometimes, is that every once in a while someone does know something, right? And they buy calls and there's information out and the stock was up. But the majority of times, in my opinion, I know everybody has different opinions on this, but I don't chase this option activity for the most part, unless it really lines up with my system, and then I use it for information. I use it for trade ideas. But so much of that, and that was one of the things that I kind of stressed later on. I said, guys, remember this: when you're seeing call activity in Rocket and SDC and all these things, you could trade it for a day trade, use it for that momentum. But Affirm was another one. Upstart saw call activity, and a lot of these things just rallied right into resistance. And I got a couple of questions on that, and I said, hey, Upstart is into resistance on the 1 hour chart, right? So I'll show you that, and just here, I might as well show you that in the beginning of the video, because I probably won't come back to it. Sometimes I say I'm going to come back to these things and I don't. But here was your resistance, 103, right? And that's exactly like I said. I said, if you really want to push it, you could try for a move and Upstart up to 107. But another one that I was looking at earlier was Affirm. And this did get up to the bottom of value. It got right up to 62. So I thought this had better risk to reward by the time that we saw Upstart and the calls on the tape. But again, just day trade. And that's really what this market has become in January, is a scalper's market, a day trader's market. It is not what it used to be, and that might change at some point, but not right now. Regarding a trend trader's market, which is basically what I try to do, is trend trading. So you have to kind of wear a different hat now that the market is doing this. And someone just put out a really nice quote, so thank you for that, on Twitter. Something that I've said in previous videos is that while the price is moving down like this and just cannot close and retake something as simple as the 5-period moving average to tell you what the short-term trend is, this market continues to be a day trader's market and a scalper's market. And selling the rips And yeah, and that's basically it for now. And that's what I would like to see in terms of the price action, is for us to regain this, and also the 200-day moving average too. So you got two issues here. Is number one, price cannot get over the 5-period moving average right now. It has not been able to retake that. It is bounced from a really oversold level, and we also are below the 200-day moving average, which is a no-no for a lot of technical traders, including myself. All right. So let's talk about what happened here a little bit. I will give you my 2 cents on Powell and the Fed. I'm happy to do that as everybody else weighs in with their opinion on on that. So I could take this down. But I think he just really he didn't assure the markets of what he's doing. Yes, there was already a 98% chance of the first rate hike coming in March, but people want to know more than that. People want to know, okay, well, what are you thinking for, like, how many rate hikes are going to be for the rest of the year? How is the balance sheet tapering going to go? And he really seemed very shaky when you listen to the press conference about committing to anything at this time. He just kind of, every question was try to kind of corner him into something. And, it was, hey, we might end up raising rates every Fed meeting, or we might end up, doing this or doing that. So being that he said, like, just, anything could happen, the market wasn't looking for that. The market was looking for, hey, tell me what's going to happen for this year. Give me some certainty about what you think. I would have said, I always like to play Fed governor and say, hey, this is what I would have said. I would have said, hey, we're going to raise rates in March and possibly 2 to 3 times thereafter if the inflation rate is X, right? If the inflation is 2% or whatever, and all things else being equal, right? Like, there's no other big outbreak of coronavirus, and that's all you have to say. And then say something like, and we will adjust that if there's any unforeseen events, right? We will be flexible, and that's all you have to say. That's my opinion. Again, you could disagree with me, but I think short and sweet, and just keep reiterating it no matter what the question is. And rather than say, hey, we could do that, we could raise interest rates every Fed meeting, right? Depending on this, I mean, that doesn't help. And I think what you're seeing in the price action is the result of that. Not being confident about, not having a clear view of what this Fed is going to do. Now, maybe it is a little bit of an overreaction, right? And that remains to be seen. And I'm not going to play that game of, hey, maybe this was an overreaction. My game plan, as I've been saying the last couple of days, is just waiting for the price action to get back above the 5-period moving average and also over the 200-day moving average. I will continue to try to kind of put some trades in place, but if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Or if I put a stop price, I'm going to honor the stop price. I'm not going to get killed in this market by, because, if the one thing that I know, and again, you could go back to what happened in 2020, is that when price stayed below the 5-period moving average and broke the 200-day moving average, there was not a lot of good things that happened for basically, over a month. Was it? This was 219, 220, right? Yeah, it was a little bit over a month by the time that we finally bottomed. So we don't know where we are in terms of that stage, and I'm not going to play. I'm going to make guesses and predictions with pretend crystal balls right now. Right? It's just not worth it. You're going to get whipped around just too much. So again, waiting for some confirmation. What I did notice on the 5-minute bar, and I'll talk about this, is as far as we went was this version point of control. Right. And right there. And that was on the announcement. That was at 2:00. Right. As always with these Fed announcements, just two other things about the Fed announcement days, and maybe you could write it down if it helps. But the first move isn't always the way that it goes. Sometimes it does happen that way, where we start to go one way and we continue to trend, but we started to go higher, right? And we took out this version point of control, and that was it. And I think we also took one out in NASDAQ. The other thing too, when you look at the VIX, there's a lot of comments in the room this morning, and I don't know 100%, so I can't say exactly what's going to happen. But the VIX went from a 30 this morning down to basically a 27, right, before the Fed meeting. So again, it just indicated the VIX will move like this if there's a lot of buying, which in my opinion, the buying was short covering. Right? It wasn't, hey, I'm going to go out and I think I really know something about the Fed. Shorts don't want to be caught, just like longs don't want to be caught too if they're wrong, right? And that's the way the market just works. Is that people, believe it or not, a lot of these traders they don't know what is going to happen and they manage their risk, right? And that's why there was covering and a lot of the ARC innovation names going into this, right? Just to kind of protect people after they've had, probably big gains if they've been shorting that group of stocks, right? But typically what we don't want to normally see a decline in the VIX going into the meeting. And look at where we are now in the VIX. Back above 30. So what's the conclusion here with the VIX over 30 is that it's lingering, right? Now it did not take out the highs of, we almost got to 40 the other day, but this is still trending, right? And lingering. The bonds I thought was kind of always interesting to watch, bonds, gold, currencies on Fed days. And this basically closed on the low, right around the lows, right? We started to see this kind of leak as the Fed meeting started. And, again, higher interest rates are not something that is going to help in this situation. All right, so that's what we've got going on. And to use the word that I've been using basically all of January is that we've got a very tricky market on our hands, and it doesn't get easier this week with all these earnings reports, right? And it's a lot of noise in these earnings reports. Again, if you're a really good scalper, keep doing what you're doing because you're getting a lot of opportunities. Tesla sold off to 890, is back up to 940. What did they say? As far as their, I don't think their earnings call has started, but the announcements is everything that we're aware of, right? They seem to be doing very well. They've got high demand, it seems like, but they've got supply chain problems. Who doesn't? Right, so probably a little bit of an overreaction to the upside. One name that I saw moving up because it's few and far between, ServiceNow, which is a name that does very well on earnings. So far that's living up to the hype, but they got to get through their earnings call. They're up to 525. Here's the earnings history. I always, it's one of the things that I always pay attention to going into an earnings report is what the company has previously done. Look at the majority of quarters for ServiceNow and the price reaction. I'm not talking about the numbers, but they know how to kind of report a quarter. Very good so far. All right, guys, that's it for today. And if you're struggling in this market, the best thing that I could say to do is try to be patient, wait for the signals, reduce position size, try not to get caught in too many positions. I did that earlier in the month and I suffered because of it, right? I was more stubborn than I've been and in the beginning of the month, and that really hurt me, but I'm not stubborn anymore. Here's my positions, because I do try to show you every day, just what I'm trading and how I'm trading, but a couple of things just didn't work. Las Vegas Sands I got into yesterday. I forgot that they reported to when I put the position on. I didn't see that they reported today, so I took that position off for a scratch. I tried Home Depot today, just didn't work out. Out of that for a small loss. IT, which saw some call positioning. This is a name that I really like. Speaking of solid earnings reporting, right? This is no, I don't want to exit. This is a tech name, and look at the earnings. Now they don't report for another week or so, but look at the earnings reactions from this company, Gartner, right? And if you're not familiar with this company, so I'll try to leave you with something that I'll be watching for tomorrow. Provides research and analysts, computer hardware, software, communications, right? They're still expensive. They're a PE of 40, but they do make money, right? So that's a good thing. But still, if the market's not going to cooperate, and I sold out of this position, I took one small target, and that was right on the 2 o'clock announcement. But it's, I said 200-day moving average is going to be my stop. Well, it closed below the 200-day moving average, so I'm out. The other name that I was watching too, just to, I like to have names that I'm watching in the tech space, right? We know that they're not acting well, but I'm still watching this new relic. Look at this; it cannot close above value for the month, right? So again, valuers, giving you good information about where there's resistance, and look at that: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles this month that have tried to get above value and break out, and it's just not ready for the time to do it. So you could try to force trades all you want, but we're just not getting the price action that's worthy of a breakout in most tech stocks. All right, guys, that's it for today. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.